I've asked my buddy Mark Meckler to come on the program. As you know, he's the head muckety-muck on Convention of States, and has been out there with the grassroots, and they've been duking it out. And there have been some very, very important events that have taken place, and I wanted Mark Meckler to describe them to you. How are you, sir?
I'm excellent. Good to be with you. And, Mark, thanks for the title. That's the best thing anybody's called me in weeks, a muckety-muck.
The head muckety-muck, huh? Okay. As long as it doesn't rhyme with some other words. But anyway, go right ahead.
Well, Mark, it's been a really interesting week. You know, before this holiday weekend, on Thursday, there was an article in the Huffington Post talking about a coalition of groups on the left that were going to be opposing the Convention of States movement. In other words, opposing the people who would like to return the country to the real Constitution as the founders intended it. And so that was kind of a warning shot across the bow. And then on Friday afternoon, amazingly, issued by Common Cause was a letter press release signed by over 230 leftist organizations from all around the country. And this is a who's who of the bad guys in America. All the major unions, AFL-CIO, SEIU, Greenpeace was on there, Daily Cause was on. I mean, you name it, anybody that you and I shudder at, they were all on there. And they are all standing together against the Convention of States movement, meaning against the people of the United States. It's really been an extraordinary development.
And what's interesting is, of course, they like the fact that the Supreme Court and a president and a bureaucracy in Congress could change the Constitution almost willy-nilly. And they like the fact that the central government has become enormously powerful, Mark Meckler. But the irony is they claim to be defending the Constitution. Now, I thought that was precious.
You know, I love that too, Mark, though. As you really read into it and think about it, in a sense they are. We have two constitutions in the country, the one that you and I and your listeners know and love. It can fit in a pamphlet inside your pocket. And there's another constitution called the Annotated Constitution. It's over 2,300 pages long. It weighs over 20 pounds. It contains all the horrendous decisions that you and I know and hate. That's the one they're defending. That's the one that has expanded federal government reach. That's the one that's given them all this power. That's the one they love and want to protect.
And you and I, just to be clear to people out there who may not be on top of this issue, what we support is the Constitution as written and as intended. And there's an article, Article 5, and there's a provision in there for amending the Constitution through two means. One is, as people know, a supermajority of the House and Senate, 2/3, and they send their proposals to the states, where you need 38 states to ratify, either by the state legislatures or a convention of the states. All this does that you and I are talking about and supporting is it cuts Congress out pretty much and allows the states, 34 state legislatures, to meet. It's a meeting. And at the meeting where the states send delegates, they may propose amendments to the Constitution on specific subjects, and it's the same ratification process. It takes 38 state legislatures or 38 conventions of the states to ratify a change to the Constitution. So it's not a constitutional convention, and you can't have a runaway convention. Am I right about this?
Oh, you're dead on, Mark. In fact, what I have taken to calling it, it's a suggesting convention. The states will get together, and that means you and me and our representatives will get together. We'll debate ideas for restraining the federal government, and then hopefully we'll make some suggestions, and those suggestions will be put out to the states to ratify or reject. There's literally zero risk of any kind of a runaway convention. People who suggest it, honestly, they've just at this point become tools of the radical left.
Now, speaking of runaway convention, I've seen runaway conventions of sorts on the Supreme Court, in the Congress, in the bureaucracy, and in the office of the presidency. Are these people, are these institutions not the greatest threat to our constitutional system?
They are, and they've proven themselves that over time. The reason that the federal government has so much power, Mark, is that Congress has usurped power that it was never intended to have. The presidents over time of both parties have taken power that didn't rightfully belong to them. They've all refused to guard their own power, and ultimately the courts, the federal courts, are the ones who have aided and abetted this incredible, never-ending expansion of federal power. We have today a runaway federal government. That's what we're trying to restrain.
230 ultra-left-wing groups. They are extremely well-funded. They're using their usual class warfare propaganda that special interest billionaires are backing our efforts and so forth and so on, when in fact the opposite is true. So they're out there, they're organized, they're going to be loud, they're banging the pots and pans, and yet on our side we have groups We have groups like Eagle Forum, Concerned Women for America. Of course, the John Birch Society is kind of a goofball group anyway. We also have think tanks, the Heritage Foundation, AEI, Cato, which either reject Article 5 under the Constitution or are passive and indecisive. Am I right about this?
Not only are you right, Mark, but I think we've reached this sort of critical intersection in American history, and it's Reagan said, a time for choosing, right? And this is the choice that we have. These 230 leftist, radical, and I would describe them as Marxist groups, have made themselves known as enemies of the Constitution and as enemies of the people. These groups you just described have to make a decision. Are they standing with those people, the Soros Group's Common Cause, Center on Budget and Policy Priority, or are they standing with the American people and the Constitution like you and I are doing? That's really the choice to be made today.
Give us an update in Iowa and some of these other states, if you would.
Sure. So we've been making great progress. We passed in Arizona. We passed in North Dakota. And Iowa really hangs in the balance right now, incredibly. We passed the House early by overwhelming margins. We passed the committee in the Senate by a 12-3 margin. We have all the votes and more that we need on the floor of the Senate. But for some reason, and we don't know why, he claims to be a supporter, but Senate Majority Leader Bill Dix is refusing to call the vote. And in Iowa, that really matters right now because today was the last day they get paid. Thursday, they will be done, and they will walk away from the opportunity to call a convention unless Senator Dix makes the call for the vote. If he does, we're done, Mark, and we get state number 11 on the table.
Senator Dix, the Senate Majority Leader, Republican, who claims to support Article 5 but won't bring the vote up because he wants to kill it. I don't want his home number. I don't want his cell number. Do we have any contact information for his official office?
Yeah, just literally go look up Iowa Senate. You'll find him as the Majority Leader. Easy to find. Just Google Iowa Senate. Go there, call his office, let him know. Just bring it up for a vote. That's all he has to do. It's no big deal. The votes are there. We will pass. It will be number 11. Go to Iowa Senate, look it up, and look up Senator Bill Dix and give him a call.
All right, Bill Dix, D-I-X, right?
That's it, D-I-X.
Bill Dix, Iowa. This is a Levin surge, particularly in Iowa. I would encourage you strongly and be respectful and civil and email him, call him, leave voicemails. If the phones are clogged up, call him tomorrow. It's Senator Bill Dix, the Senate Majority Leader, the Republican leader who claims to support Article 5. Now, folks, similar things happen all over the country. Mark can tell you about this. It happened in Arizona, and once this Andy Biggs, a self-proclaimed conservative, left the Senate Majority Leader position in the Senate in Arizona to go to Congress, where he always wanted to be, I suppose, the new Senate leader allowed the vote to take place, and then Arizona voted on the resolution, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we had passed the House 3 years in a row. It was stuck in the Senate because Andy Biggs essentially pocket vetoed it by not allowing a vote. Kind of similar to what Senator Dix is doing, except for Senator Dix says he's a supporter of convention states. By the way, Mark, I've got his email right here. It's bill.dix, D-I-X, at legis, L-E-G-I-S, .iowa.gov. So it's bill.dix at legis.iowa.gov.
And I got another one. We have his phone number. It's 515-281-3371. Mr. Producer, put this link up on my sites, would you please? And we'll give the whole nation the contact information. Senate Majority Leader Bill Dix, District 25. And I do not want the man attacked, personally attacked. Just be civil and say, Senator, allow a vote on the floor of the Senate for the Convention of States resolution. You're going to kill it, and you know you're going to kill it if you do not allow a vote. Bring it up for a vote. It went through the House overwhelmingly. It went through the relevant Senate committee overwhelmingly. You're one man. You're standing in the way of the people of Iowa who want this done. And he's also chairman of the Rules and Administration Committee, so he's enormously powerful, this fellow Bill Dix. So, 515-281-3371 in Iowa. And we'll have his contact information and so forth. And again, I would strongly encourage you, we want to be civil about this, but we want him to know that we know he's standing in the way of this. Anything else about any other state we should know tonight?
Yeah, I think the last thing to know is Texas is on the edge. We've already come through the Senate in Texas. Happened a while ago. Overwhelming numbers. Every Republican voted for it. In the House, amazingly, Mark, we have over 80 sponsors in the House. That's the majority. We're way past the majority in the House. We know there'll be 10 more votes, so it will be at 90 out of 98 House Republicans. Again, stuck in committee. One guy, Larry Gonzalez in Texas, is holding it up in committee. We're hoping for a vote on Thursday. If we get it out of committee, it's going to be passing, and that'll be number 11 or number 12 on the books.
All right, Larry Gonzalez, what is he, a state representative?
He's a state representative, and he is on the committee. We have 5 Republicans on the committee. We need all of them, and he is the one guy that's holding us up. Of course, the Democrats are voting against it. All we need is Larry Gonzalez. We get him to vote with us. It comes out of committee. It goes to the floor. Bam, we are guaranteed to pass.
All right, let's get that information up to Mr. Producer, Larry Gonzalez in Texas. We got to run, Mr. Meckler. I appreciate your help. Keep it up.
Thank you. God bless, Mark.
You too, and we'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Sign the petition at cosaction.com and get as many of your friends and family to do the same. With your full address, your state legislators will know that you really are their constituents in their district. Our success depends on you, so we're inviting you to be part of history. Let's invoke the constitutional solution that's as big as the problem.